if we start to push down and we break below, that's why I think we could break below 74K. I had a little chat in Facebook about this. People were saying, we're going to 74K. That's the prior high, the resistance, support, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I think we'll come down to, 70K-ish. And there are people like, well, I don't see that. Right. You don't have the tools that we do. We have these order blocks. But at any rate, why would it come down here? I mean, again, we have this sort of fair value market imbalance. We have the order blocks. So if you have powder dry, this is where I would be suggesting to hold for. I bought a little bit of Bitcoin back in here. Dollar cost average. Continue dollar cost average on the downside, you guys. Buy in green, sell in red. Look, let's not overcomplicate things. Any questions, you guys? Let me see. I can't see the chat. I'm going to make sure that, where's my controls on these things? Here it is. And okay, chat. So I didn't say hi to everybody here today, by the way. Hey, Doug, KS, Nathan, Pump Phone, Ronald Willis, and Scott. Hey, Scott Sanford. Cool. How are you guys doing, by the way? This is awfully painful financially, right? So we just have to kind of wait it out. I do not believe the top is in though. And I paused to check in with my spidey sense. I don't want to lead you guys astray and be one of the herd followers. But let's take a look. Let's go over to here. Because this was concerning to me. This is that USDT dominance study. And, yesterday we were breaking this important trend line, and I hate to move these things, but I did move it up a little bit because of the wick point here and the wick point there. Okay, so I said, all right, in fairness, let me move it up. But if we start to close above these levels, we're in trouble. We're maybe going in a crypto correction zone. I mean, we kind of are, but we don't want to let it get out of hand and go to crypto crash zone. And that's what happens when we start getting up into this area. And these are those hidden sort of signals here that, I did see somebody mention it, so I did a full study on it. And I won't go into it again. You guys have seen this. But look, this is almost exactly playing out as last time, and that into that summer crypto crash. So, we could see this, and we could see further downside and bleed out into April and May. I mean, I know I say we could this, possibly this. I gave you anything had happened, but this, if we start pushing higher and closing above this, be careful. And the hard part is in how they trap us is they bleed it out slowly so that we don't want to sell at a loss, and then boom, it goes deeper. And then people panic sell. So we're not out of the woods yet, you guys. I want to see this up above 85K closing basis. Looking at the weekly chart here, also showing this 74K prior resistance, and that would be the midpoint of this vector candle on the weekly time frame. So, look, just be prepared for that. The longer term, I'm not suggesting that you panic sell or any of that, but do revisit my strategy to dollar cost average and sell some so that you can buy back lower. But it's hard to do after we're deep in the red, and I know some of you don't want to sell, don't want to take losses. I hear you. But be prepared for 70 to 74K. 72K probably more meaningful there. But then again, but look, we have this nice candle here. If we can hold with that, holding that 50-week EMA, tricky business. So now what do we want to do? Look at our signals here. We are getting bullish divergence on that. So try to put my phone away. That's important to keep an eye on. But we only have that one signal here. Let me turn on the ERA. I don't want to sort of belabor the point and make this like a boring college lecture. I'm going to try to pick up the pace on these things. All right. What is positive is we're getting oversold on both the daily and the weekly, but we're not there yet. Okay. So I think we could have another couple of weeks of this sort of bleed out because, our best bounces have been coming out of the weekly cycle lows down here. All right. So I'm going to leave you with that. Just, keep in mind this bleed out is partially to get people to sell and then bounce out of this range. So, but who we don't know, we just don't know. I wish I could tell you. There are times when the signals align, and so be patient because they will within the next 3 4 months. The signals will align. We'll have the bottom to bounce in, and I'm going to trust what I see in the charts, despite all these people calling for this and that in lines and cycles. I'll weigh that in, take it into account, but it's not what I'm going to base things on. I base things on what I see in my experience and what feels right. So we covered this a little bit, by the way, in the training yesterday, by the way, that I did. Most of that's review. You guys have seen it. However, what have we done here, you guys? First of all, before I show you this, I want to pull up the CME gap because recently, and this is where I'm always kind of checking in with myself, is that, sorry, it's here. So remember people were saying that the CME gap filled, the CME gap filled. I'm like, all right, yeah, close enough, CME gap. And then, but I was looking at it and I'm like, it didn't really fill though. And I would like to see it come back down and actually fill that thing. Well, that was exactly right. And, I kind of chastised myself for going with the herd because back here, when this wick was down here and people were saying, CME got filled, but it didn't. There was this little sliver, between the bottom of that wick. And so that's another reason why this thing pushed up here. I just didn't trust it. So what have we done here? We did fill the CME gap finally down in this range. So this has been filled now. And the IBIT, that big unfilled gap over here, that big red IBIT gap, has also been filled. I've been talking about this for a while, though. I didn't believe it would happen either, you guys, but it did. So there's a bullish case here that is now in. Are there lower IBIT and CME gaps? Yeah, a little bit, but I think the big one was here. And now we have an unfilled gap to the upside. So that's another case for pushing up. So now if we do push up, what do we want to do? And again, try not to make this sound like a college lecture, but I want to make this interactive. So basically, if we push up here on the IBIT, I would be taking some profits and holding to buy dips. And hopefully we get a new upward trend channel that we can trade and get into this thing. Everybody with me? So there's that. These are the clues we want to pay attention to that no one else is talking about. Consensus is dangerous. And that's why all these YouTubers get out and, they're watching each other and they're like, yeah, that makes sense. And now I got to do a video today. I think I'll talk about what this does and that does. Sometimes I'll mention things that other guys talk about if I find it unique and interesting and that passes my Spidey sense test and my so what test. A lot of that stuff out there is, yeah, so what? That doesn't really matter. It doesn't pass the smell test. So anyway, point made here. We have some room here. Also a bit of a gap on the upside on the CME futures. So we push up to here. Another time, if you're buying down at these levels, to take some profits off the table on Bitcoin and then wait to buy back lower. Because I think it's, the pain isn't over yet. We have these tariff wars happening. It's impossible to know, the Trump, well, I won't call it, let's just call it this, the potential ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. Russia has to accept, but that would be good. Certainty, markets like certainty. Please, guys, if you have any questions, do ask. I will continue rambling and telling you what I think that is going to happen, absent of your questions. Let's take a look at total market cap here. And so total market cap, I mean, look, guys, we have lots of sell pressure overhead. We now have a third sell block up here. Another reason to be selling into that, we don't have our bear market emergency signals, but I'm wondering if I have to expand my definition of those. We had been talking about that here, but we just didn't get full alignment on this. This is sort of sloppy alignment, but and we're oversold. So we're due for a counter trend bounce, if nothing else. But I just want to make sure I don't look back and say there's that bearish engulfing candle almost. This is a 3 inside down. Same thing same kind of thing. Bearish ERI, TSI went red, RSI red, signal red. I hope we don't look back in time and say that was it. But we've had, but really it shouldn't have been. We've had these signals fire back here, and they recovered. It recovered at the 50-week EMA. So I'm bullish here on the overall time frame, but we're gonna have some trouble overhead. I just, this is more of a waiting game, guys. We've been waiting forever, haven't we? We'll be waiting until we're old as dirt, it seems. But it's at the point where we're complacent and kind of get bored with all this, then it'll take off. That's how it works. I'm going to try to get to some really meaningful, actionable advice here shortly. But watch for this. Set your alerts here. I want to, we're getting nice and low on the total market cap, and let's hope it drifts down more, or stays. Let's say ideally it holds here, and this TSI drops down below 3. Because our, well, that's the ERI. But we want to see this lower and then go green next week, ideally, which would make perfect sense. I'll be on a cruise and not watching the markets as much, and because Murphy's Law is your law, and when you're trading and running teaching classes, right? So anyway, point is, add alert, oversold, going to green. I want to know that, yes, and I want to know total market cap, add an alert, and crossing up above 20. That is our trigger for kind of going long on the total market cap. Above 20 is the confirmation.
Hey, this is Brett from Moonstream. If you'd like to learn more about our pro trading signals, or our live classes every Wednesday, or our Retire Rich program, go over to moonstream.io/start.